What I've seen work best is that niching, is that figuring out what can I be unique in, and how can I carve out that unique market.
Hello and welcome to episode 215 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, we are joined by John Horn, CEO of StubGroup, a digital advertising agency and premier Google partner. Whether you're brand new to Google Ads or have managed multiple campaigns, John shares tips you won't want to miss. He emphasizes the importance of understanding the competitive nature of the market, effective keyword research, geographic targeting, and the creation of compelling landing pages that are aligned with your ad's message. Additionally, John shares his thoughts on how real estate agents could better leverage YouTube as a lead generation tool. But before we get on to today's featured interview, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoyed this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to check out the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get on with our conversation with John Horn. If you're interested in learning more, be sure to check out StubGroup.com. All right, well, really the way I like to start everything out is if you could just introduce yourself to us a little bit, who you are and what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, my name is John Horn, and I am the CEO of StubGroup. And what I do all day, every day, is helping many different types of businesses, including real estate agents and brokers, use digital advertising, especially Google ads, YouTube ads, Meta ads, to go out and find new customers, bring them on board, and make more money through advertising. So it's a lot of fun.
How did you get into the digital advertising space and the marketing world?
Yeah, so it's been over a decade at this point. I think it was about 11, 12 years ago at this point when StubGroup started. And the way it started is there were the two founders who kicked things off, and they brought me on as employee number one. And really saw this opportunity in the market where digital advertising, it wasn't new. There was already lots going on, but it was new to many people. Many businesses were making that switch from traditional media over to digital advertising and just needed help figuring out how to spend their budgets effectively, how to leverage the different platforms, which ones to leverage. And so we saw this, market need and opportunity, and created a StubGroup to meet that need, and kind of figured it out for ourselves, figured out how to run successful campaigns, bootstrapped it, grew from there, found additional team members to bring on board who knew what they were doing, and have grown to where we are today.
Awesome. Well, so for our audience, the real estate agents and brokers, there's a lot of different marketing methods, a lot of different lead generation methods that they utilize. But why should people in the real estate space be using the Google ads and then the YouTube ads?
Yeah, well, honestly, the first thing I'll say is not everybody should. It's not the right fit for every real estate agent or broker. And so we'll kind of dive into that because we've worked with many real estate agents over the years. Some we've seen Google ads, Facebook ads work well for them, and some not. I think there's some patterns that we've been able to see that play into that. So first thing I'd say is it's a very competitive space. If you go and search, you should have a Realtor near me or looking for specific houses to buy or whatever. Obviously, there's lots of people that are playing. You've got the big guys like Zillow and Realtor.com, et cetera, who are doing their advertising. Then you've got all of the brokers and all of the single agents doing it as well. So it's a crowded space. So it can be difficult to stand out. There are ways to stand out, but you've got to actually look for ways to stand out. You can't just, throw your hat in the ring and hope amazing things will happen. The second thing I would say is obviously, real estate is very, as everyone listening to this knows, is very relationally oriented. And so a lot of people, they might be looking for, a house to buy online and end up on a particular real estate agent's website and whatever. But it takes a lot to convince them to actually go with that person. Often they're just doing research and they already have somebody or, a friend's friend, that kind of thing that they can talk with. And so I would say the successful campaigns that we see are where real estate agents can figure out a niche, a nuance, and something that they can really kind of double down on. So, for example, we've had a real estate agent who works in Miami, and mostly Miami, some of the areas around that. He's very focused on luxury real estate, and kind of his approach and niche is, all right, looking at where are people purchasing luxury homes in Miami, And often this is international areas, places where there's high net worth individuals that are not in Miami, but they're looking to purchase a home in Miami. And so there, kind of his differentiator that we've done for him is targeting where his target audience likely is living, and then being very specific with what keywords might they be searching. So, luxury homes in Miami, luxury homes in some of the different neighborhoods and areas. And he's able to present himself as, hey, I'm on the ground, boots on the ground. I have this amazing track record of selling luxury homes. I, tailor myself to this clientele. And so he's able to see a lot of success from that, which is very different than just saying, okay, let's target people in Miami and, real estate agent near me. So that's kind of one example. I would also say agents who think about things from a funnel perspective have a leg up, because again, it's a very relational business. A lot of people, they're doing initial research. They're not ready to call someone they've never met with day one when they get to your website and say, will you be my agent? But if you're able to provide value, and in exchange for that value, collect contact information, you're now building a funnel or a list of people that you can nurture over time. So if you can, create white papers on your website, something that's valuable. It could be, whatever checklist of things to do when you're selling your home. It could be, how to think about where the market is heading. It could be, fill in the blank, things that home owners, sellers, and buyers be interested in. And then creating real value that you're exchanging for free in exchange for them giving you an email address, maybe a phone number, that kind of thing. And that's the long game. You might not see a lot come from that month 1, month 2, month 3. But if you have the patience to nurture them, to create relationships, to keep sending valuable content to them over time, then when they are ready to sell or buy next time, potentially, or they got a friend who needs to buy or sell or whatever, you've already created that relationship. Right. So a lot of words there, but those are some of the couple of the things that we see work well.
Right. And just kind of unpacking that a little bit, starting off with, you mentioned, the keyword research and really targeting, your audience or what you want to be, what you want to come up in. Where do you start with that keyword research? And, what are some of maybe the tools or even pieces of advice, for making sure that keyword that you are searching isn't, dominated by somebody else, or that it's really going to be worth your ad spend to go after?
Yeah, great question. So a couple different ways. There are specific tools that we'll use. So for example, Google, they have a tool they call Keyword Planner, which is free within your Google Ads account, where you can look and get a sense for how much volume is there for different keywords. You can get new keyword ideas, and you can get a sense for competition levels. Now, I take all of that data with large grains of salt, because a lot of it's kind of aggregated and put in buckets, and the cost per clicks that they estimate there are probably going to be very different than what you end up paying. So don't take it as gospel truth, but it's a helpful way to come up with general ideas and to come up with keyword ideas. So we'll use that. There are third-party tools as well that we'll use, things like SEMrush or SpyFu. And then there's a lot of other strategies as well. So for example, when we just go around and search for kind of relevant phrases on Google, you'll see like autocomplete come up. So where Google might say, oh, buy a house in, and it suggests neighborhood ideas that come up. Those are things that people are searching often. And so you'll find ideas of, oh, okay, this is a popular keyword because Google has it as autocomplete. Or same thing, you'll see similar related searches down at the bottom of most Google search pages. That's another good clue of, oh, I hadn't thought of that, but that actually does make sense, and people are obviously searching for it because Google's recommending it. So those are examples. Also, things like ChatGPT can be great at coming up with new ideas, looking at websites, what keywords are on there. A lot of ideas, a lot of ways to come up with those lists. But ultimately, you definitely want to tailor that. Again, think through, okay, who is my unique audience? Obviously, there's straightforward things like, are you going after buyers or sellers? Well, that's going to dictate what keywords you go after. But again, even within those, are you going after first-time buyers? Are you going after luxury home buyers? Are you going after real estate investors, etc.? And there's some of those things you can kind of factor into keyword research. Some you can't. Most people aren't going to say, I'm looking for a house and I'm a real estate investor in their search, in their search term. They're not going to self-qualify, but there are strategies you can do, where it's like, okay, these keywords are more likely to be searched by this type of person versus that type of person, and then go from there.
Right. Absolutely. When it comes to, you know, so you have the keywords that you're searching for. I'm also really interested in the actual the targeting and targeting specific locations, because I know for somebody in my market, Jacksonville, Florida, there's a lot of different companies that are moving to the area. So maybe targeting the places that those companies are moving from, would be a good strategy. How can they go about doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Geographic targeting is awesome within Google and Meta, most of the platforms, where you can say, okay, I want to show my ads to people who are in this particular location, or people who are searching for this particular location. So you could say, okay, people who are searching for Jacksonville, Florida, homes in Jacksonville, Florida, regardless of where they live in the U.S. Or hey, these top 5 states or cities where I know people are coming from, let's target only people there who then search for moving to Jacksonville, homes in Jacksonville, that kind of thing. And you can, you can try and be smarter than some of your competition, and therefore reduce the pool of competition that you're competing with.
You mentioned it also earlier. Having those landing pages are something that of value to give to these people that are clicking on your ad. And I think it's really important that having a landing page that is aligned with your ad and what those keywords that you're putting in there, because I wouldn't necessarily want to, if I'm really going after a buyer's market or having going after the buyer's keyword, I don't want them to go to my page of all my listings. That doesn't really help them out.
Exactly. Yes, there's got to be that alignment. Whether it's, hey, you're talking about luxury homes, and then the page they reach is all your cheapest stuff because it's not filtered properly, or hey, you're looking for buyers, but like you said, you send them to your listings. That makes no sense. So it's very important. A lot of people, they'll get so caught up with the ad side of things and what the ads say that they forget where they're sending people to after they click the ad. And the ad is super important. That's your first impression, but you only have a little bit of space there. That's just trying to get them to your website. Your website is where they're going to really decide whether or not they should engage with you. And so you've got to make sure that landing page experience you're sending people to is consistent with the ad and is helpful, makes you look credible, and has a clear call to action. If you want to think through, what do I want this person to do when they reach my page? And then you have to tell them very specifically, is it fill out this form for my free ebook? Cool. Tell them that should be the most prominent thing. It should be very clear. Is it, go browse my listings? Okay, cool. We'll make that really easy. Make that the call to action. Just tell people what you want them to do.
Yeah. With the agents that you've worked with, have you seen a specific type of landing page or a specific offer that you've seen work better than others?
I would say most agents, and again, this is what separates the good from the bad. A lot of the ones that we've worked with over time is, and let me take a step back, not to say good from the bad. You can be a great agent and not have a white paper or something. But when it comes to the marketing side of things, when I look at what performs well versus what doesn't perform well, a lot of the agents we've worked with over time just have not been interested in putting the extra work into creating some kind of value. They just want to send people to their listing page and hope they click through and hope good things happen. And sometimes it does, sometimes they see good things come from that. Sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, what I've seen work best is that niching, is that figuring out what can I be unique in, and how can I carve out that unique market, whether that's, luxury homes in a particular area, whether that's, hey, I'm the agent for real estate investors. I'm going to come alongside of you and help you and make all of my content about that. And those are the types of things that we see work.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, with the ease of website building and content creation now, I mean, you can really, if you were, the Miami agent, for example, there's so many different neighborhoods and places, that you could be selling. You could create a little page with information all about those specific neighborhoods and tie, whatever those ads are back to that specific landing page. And it really isn't, it's not that, difficult to build that stuff out anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. It's not hard to do at all. And it's getting easier too with AI, which is there to help, do a lot of the initial content creation often. And then you can make sure it's accurate, spruce it up, make sure it's good. But there's a lot of ways to cut down on the work involved in doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to, you mentioned, the results and what kind of results these are driving.
Mm.
Obviously some of these things, it's more of a long game. These are not people that are, they're not clicking to, this is not purchasing a pair of sunglasses from an ad they saw. This is a long-term relationship that you're building. It's a high value relationship. What's your advice for, tracking the results of your Google ads?
Yeah, fantastic question. So first of all, as much as possible, we want to track what people are doing on the website after they click through the ads. And usually there's a couple of actions that people can take that are valuable to you. So it's filling out some kind of form, whether it's, hey, a contact form, request more information, download a white paper, whatever, or it is placing a phone call. And so we'll use both tracking of forms, tracking of phone calls, so that we can see as much as possible, okay, these calls came from people who clicked your ads, these forms came from people who clicked your ads, that kind of thing. Now, I will say one challenge we've run in, and I'll get a little bit technical here, but one challenge we've run into often in the real estate space is because many websites are pulling listing information from the MLS through another service through iframes, our ability to track what's going on the website is impacted, because you can kind of think of it as if you're pulling data from another website through an iframe, when someone's like looking at that listing, they're not really on your website. Like they see your website domain at the top, but from a code perspective, all the code there is coming from someone else's website, and you as your website owner can't actually install code into that section. So there are some limitations especially in the listing area when people are pulling from other sources, where sometimes we're not able to track if they click this button, if they fill out this form, if they called that number. But we track as much as we can. And then at the end of the day, like you said, especially in the real estate space, a lot of it comes down, some of it's not trackable because, hey, I go find a real estate agent's website. I text that to my wife. She goes, checks it out. She calls. There's no way to connect that dot to me clicking on an ad. Or, hey, I've got cookies turned off, and I come back a month later when I'm ready to buy, and I reach out then. There's a lot of gaps in that tracking. So we definitely encourage real estate agents to look at the overall volume of leads and correlate that with whatever they're doing on the advertising side. So if you start investing money into whatever, okay, well, let's look, is our total lead volume going up or down? Because even if we can't exactly tie it all back to where we're investing those dollars, we should see an increase in it over time. It's probably not going to be day one, but over time, we need to see those leads come up to justify that spend. And if we don't see anything positive there, then that's concerning. That means the spend's probably not being helpful and effectual. So it's not a perfect science, unfortunately. It is harder for real estate agents and some people because of those iframe things and because of the user behavior. But track as much as you can.
Yeah, and I definitely I talk to a lot of agents, and I understand the difficulty for wanting to, when you're testing out different ad sets or different keywords that you're going for, is really letting those breathe and kind of allow that lead pool to start building.
Absolutely.
When it comes to, and we talked about Google ads, what's the difference there for YouTube ads? Because I think that's really interesting, how agents could utilize YouTube and the YouTube ad space.
Yeah, YouTube is very cool. There's a lot of opportunity on YouTube right now. I would say that the best way to leverage YouTube, first of all, you've got to have some good content in the real estate space. So I'm going to say focus first on content, creating good content, and let's see if we can get some traction from that, ideally organically. And then let's look at, okay, what seems to be getting some traction organically, and let's put some ad spend behind that. I think a great example of this on the organic side of things is there's a real estate agent in Pennsylvania. I'm in Texas personally, so I'm across the country. I'm not sure how it started coming up in my YouTube Shorts feed, but it did. I think his name is Joseph Bograd, and he's become very, very popular on YouTube because he just has these very transparent videos of him dealing with different situations with sellers, with buyers. He'll show off houses. He'll have just behind the scenes stuff. And it's fascinating. You learn a lot. It's a very kind of transparent look into what it's like to be a real estate agent who's performing at a high level. And I've subscribed to that. Even though, I'm not planning to buy a house from him. I don't live in that part of the country, but many people have subscribed to him, and so he's building organically, creating awareness, and there's all sorts of word of mouth that come to him because, hey, this person subscribed, they got a friend there, they want to buy a house, etc. But then also, if I were him, I would look at, okay, well, let's look at how can we take some of these videos that are doing well and put some ad spend behind them, because we know people engage, they like it, they're subscribing from it. So let's amplify the message, get this content out to more people, and get more people subscribing. And that's kind of the high funnel on the YouTube side of things. So I'd say, it's kind of sharing interesting content to get people who are interested in your content and ideally subscribing to your channel for more. And then there's a little bit lower funnel where, as you have people who have subscribed to your channel, they said, hey, this is cool, this is interesting, I find it valuable. Then you can send very targeted ads to them with more of a direct sales pitch, because they're warmer, and you can say, whatever your offer is, whether it's, hey, you buying or selling a house, I'd love to help you, and you can use more of a direct sales message to those people who've already kind of qualified themselves by subscribing. So I'd think of it in kind of that funnel perspective, and content's really important, but YouTube Shorts also is really important right now. YouTube Shorts, that short form, 60-second content is just booming right now, and it's a lot easier to get views on that content than your longer form videos. So while I wouldn't not do long form videos, I would definitely put an emphasis on Shorts, because that's the big area of opportunity that I see right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, with YouTube Shorts, what they came out with a couple months ago, that, the next video, or whatever they're calling it, that adding that link to the long form video. So,
yes,
having that, maybe that long form video that, has done well organically in the past, but has, maybe an offer to some kind of a lead magnet or, guide or something like that. And having that as the clickable link in all of your shorts, I think is a great idea.
100%. Yeah, it's an awesome feature where you get more views in the shorts. It's your discovery feature, and then the people can click from that to the longer form content, and then often from there they'll subscribe. That's often that funnel.
Have you seen many real estate agents utilizing this, or are they still trying? Is it still catching up? Because a lot of times in real estate, maybe we're a little bit behind. When it comes to some of the different marketing techniques out there.
I would say, on average, still catching up. Yeah, I would say I don't see. I mean, there's always outliers like Bograd in Pennsylvania, but by and large, I would say not a lot of real estate agents are using YouTube much, or if they're using it, the content they're putting out isn't interesting, because that's the other part of it. Just being on the platform is not enough. It's, why is someone actually going to watch this? It's, can I create a very, interesting home run through that someone's going to actually watch? So I've seen some agents be creative there, do an actual run through where they're just running through the house, and it's fun to watch. It catches your attention, and you watch it. That's interesting. Or, just making sure it looks, it's good quality videography as they're showing off the listing, especially if it's a luxury listing, super important. But even just, behind the scenes conversations, driving in your car, if you got somebody there, pull out your phone and video you while you're on a phone call with a client. Bograd does that all the time, and it's just really interesting seeing, okay, that's kind of how those conversations go. Oh, that makes sense. You learn a bit, and you develop trust with that person because you see them truly operating in the real world, and you're like, oh, okay, they know what they're doing. I would trust that person to have that same conversation with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's, it's really important is, the video, while you want the quality to be, high and of good standard, especially, the audio wise and all that kind of thing, it doesn't need to be this crazy scripted, video. YouTube is, even just some of the videos that I've watched over the years and some of the creators I've watched, they really almost like strip down some of the crazy production stuff, all the flying, the noises going off. It's gotten more intimate now almost.
100%. The other thing too, I would say about YouTube, and this isn't really specifically on the ad side of things, but it is something I see, is that video ranks very well organically. So Google, obviously they own YouTube. They love ranking YouTube videos in Google when you search for things. And then also YouTube itself is the second largest search engine. People are constantly searching there. So if you're let's say you're in a smaller area. I mean, I'm close to a tiny little town called Bandera in Texas. If I were an agent here locally, I would create a bunch of really good videos, mixture of short and long term, about the Bandera market. And I could probably rank pretty well if someone starts searching for, real estate agent in Bandera and whatnot. And not every one of those people are going to become a lead, obviously, but that's free, as far as you're not putting ad spend behind it. But other than the production cost and the time cost of making those videos, that lives out there. And if you're linking those back to your website as well, that can help your website rank better organically, because Google likes to see that there's video content linking back to you. And then again, if you see some of those videos doing well, then you can put some ad spend behind those. So I would definitely encourage video for pretty much any agent out there. That's something you gotta be getting into.
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked to several agents over the years doing this, and there's a handful of them that are really done a really good job of highlighting, those small neighborhoods in their market, and really kind of almost become that digital mayor of the market.
100%. Yeah, you can make content about crime rates, about home values, about school districts, just stuff people care about and are searching. And if I move into a location and I do this search, and every time I do this search there's content popping up from Joe Blow real estate agent, well, that's going to make an impression on my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we wrap up, tell me a little bit about more about StubGroup and how you what you guys do and how people can utilize your services and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we love to come alongside of businesses. Like I said, we've certainly worked with many agents and brokers over the years. So we'd love to work with you as well. So if you're watching or listening, best place to reach out would be through StubGroup.com. And what we'll do is we'll start with a free consultation with you. So like I said, it's paid advertising is not the right fit for every single agent. So first we want to meet with you, understand, okay, what's your market? What are your goals? Is there a niche you're going after, et cetera, and identify and see if we think we are a good fit to help you. And if we are, then awesome. We'll kind of explain, here's the plan, here's what it looks like, and get off to the races and hopefully start bringing more buyers or sellers through those doors.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. And I think, the digital advertising space, it's so crazy. Like it's, changing so much, and there's always like these really, cool ways to do it. But I do think a lot of it comes down to what value are you providing those leads that come in?
100%.
Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today.
Yeah, Michael, thanks so much for having me.
I want to thank John for joining us today, and I definitely agree that in order to succeed with this type of marketing as a real estate professional, it's all about niching down and providing true value. Remember, if you'd like to learn more about StubGroup, check out StubGroup.com. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.